Good evening. I would like to call the February 26, 2018 Bellbrook City Council meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood?
Here.
Mr. McGill?
Here.
Mrs. Middlestetter?
Here.
Mrs. Seeger Lawson?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schweller? Mayor Baird?
Here. Formal approval of the City Council regular meeting minutes of February 12, 2018. Does any member on council have any corrections or additions to the regular City Council meeting minutes of our last meeting?
None, Mayor.
Seeing none, the minutes are approved as written. Mayor's announcements and special guests. We did have a executive session this evening, started at 5:30 to discuss personnel matters. That is on the agenda. Mayor's announcements. First, we have a oath of office for Mr. Shane Russell for the museum board. Would you please come up? First, thank you very much for volunteering. Happy to do it. Are all of our boards filled now?
They are all filled now.
Thank you very much. They're all filled now. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Shane Russell, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio and will obey the laws thereof, and that I will in all respects uphold and enforce the provisions of the Charter and the ordinances of Bellbrook, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations. Thank you very much for volunteering. I just need a signature and a date. And when's the first meeting? You already probably been there.
It's April.
I haven't been to the first one of for this, but I've been to the other historical Bellbrook society meetings. So.
Well, thank you very much. You're very highly spoken of, and I think you're going to be a great addition. So thank you very much for
Appreciate
joining.
the opportunity, and wish I could stick around, but I've got to relieve my wife of child care duties.
Okay. Well, we will not hold it against you. Susan, Miss Lopez, would you like to come up? I know you would like to say some things about the Bellbrook Sugar Creek Family Resource Center. Susan's been involved with this organization for a long time. Then a little interim vacancy, and then back again. How long you been back, Susan, now?
I've been back close to 2 years.
2 years already. Wow.
So yeah, I know it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Was there about 9 years before. So, all right. So I just want to thank you guys for your continued support of the Family Resource Center. It means so much to the families here. The form that I passed out to you, and thank you for inviting me to come too. The form I passed out kind of gives you a snapshot of what maybe some of our families are in our programs on the first things. So our families now we're working more to our production model. Some of our programs are still relief models, like the food pantry, that sort of thing. The clothing pantry is relief, except for there's a limited amount of items they can take, and after that it becomes a production model, meaning that our participants, that's what we're calling them, our participants come in and they actually, after a certain amount, if they want more, then they just volunteer. And so they are also our volunteer citizens. So it's become a great thing, and they volunteer a little bit for their Thanksgiving and for their Christmas and that sort of thing. It's become a very positive thing because they will come in and they will help somebody else, and the person they're helping is clueless that they don't work there. A lot of people are clueless that our volunteers are volunteers anyways, because we treat it like, everybody is community. So it's community center, right? Family Resource Center. So, and they do take charge really well. So it's a really good thing. So a production model is that you earn and gain type thing. So we call it an earn and gain program. So they are working towards that. If you look at the model of poverty, which is the large portion, but not all of the people that we serve, where you're going to hit people in poverty is young. So it's very young. So the slope goes quite a bit like this from even prenatal to sloping off like this after you graduate from high school, and you have this much margin to try to reach people out of poverty. So we are hitting all our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds whose families are willing with the school box, with stuff in it, information for them, information for the parent. And one of the kids was on a waiting list for the preschool here and got called in 2 months after, and her teacher said they don't need any supplies, but she had gotten a kit from the resource center. And so she said, no, I have to take this in. I have to take this in to show my teacher. And she takes it in every day still. Her little kit, it has little cards with numbers on it. It's a really nice kit. I should bring one for you guys at some time and you can pass it around and see it. But she was so proud of her kit that she had. Because these kids are left behind if they don't know how to use scissors. If they don't know that, they realize they have to know some of those numbers, not just be able to count them, that they can recognize them. And it gives the families that heads up too. So we are working on production for just youth on up. And I can say, when we were a county agency, I was there during that. The model that they use to get people out of poverty, they don't measure how often, they just measure names. So a person that we saw, let's say 6 times in a year, previously I might have seen once in these 3 years, but their name still comes out in that year, so it looks like we're still serving them equally. But that is not true. And another one was a child who was a child of a client came through, because her mother had told her they were, they almost closed the center or whatever. And so she wanted to talk to me, and she came in and we were talking about poverty. And she's a Marine and married and with a child. She brought her baby for me to see her baby. And she's very livid that people don't understand poverty better. So we are doing poverty education. So anybody that wants a class, if you guys want to learn more about poverty, it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours that will do for you. But right there was a success story, right? But we never measured the children. So we're measuring the parents' names because you can't keep children in the mix. So there was a success story. Her mom's working too, by the way, but sometimes we don't measure that. So, but we do appreciate you guys so much. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone on council have any questions? So the county did give some funding for the family research. Well, it's went back and forth over the years. And then the county eliminated the funding along with closing Jamestown, and then which other?
Jamestown and this one. When the county pulled the funds away from here, they were managing 2 grants. So the funding they pulled away were the grants. The other third that they took away, they didn't take away because it was community contributions.
Yes.
So what they pulled away were 2 grants that helped it run.
And since then, the community has came together, and how much do we give annually, Mark?
$1,000.
$1,000. So for only giving $1,000, it's a big benefit for the citizens of Bellbrook and Sugar Creek. They have some place to go. It's at the old elementary school. I think most of us know where it's at.
Yep.
Also, the Chamber of Commerce is now in there sharing resources, which it's been a very good for both the schools and the chamber to all have that one sort of stop shopping kind of place.
Right.
So.
It's good and it makes it safe. It's a big building.
If
So if the
someone-
chamber was in there without the Family Resource Center, they'd be in there by themselves a lot. So with us there, we're often there at the same time and we're on the same floor. So
If someone
it's
watching
good.
wants to donate or something, how would they go about doing that? If someone watching on TV wanted to donate, how would they go about doing it?
So if they're watching on TV and they'd like to donate, they can make a check out to the Family Resource Center and they send it to the center at 51 South, which is just S period, right? Because the name of the road is East, E-A-S-T, and that's Bellbrook, 45305. That's how they can make a donation.
Lasagna dinner, is that benefiting you guys
Yes,
this year?
the lasagna dinner does benefit. They're asking for people to buy tickets. It's March 10th, and there's 2 seatings, a 5 o'clock seating and a 6:30. It's at the United Methodist Church, which is right next to the center, and they have a nice room and a kitchen. And so that ticket, which is $15, or a table for $120, all that money will go to the Family Resource Center.
Any other questions?
You said you had a training, hour and a half training.
For poverty,
What, do you have a schedule for that? Or
and what?
do you have a schedule for that?
right now, I'm just asking people to schedule. I had a schedule going for it. But just say we are interested in this month and give me a few dates and we'll put it in.
Okay.
All right? So it's a really good thing. I was talking to a teacher tonight who wants to give a family a bed and we're trying to coordinate it. And she's like, of course, like at 2 o'clock, I can do it at 5:30 tonight. And I can't get a hold of family. And I'm explaining to her, it's the end of the month, they might have minutes left on their phone. They might not have phone service now until next month. And she's like, I never thought of that. And there's a teacher, so that makes you understand that the teachers themselves might not understand what some of their kids are going through. And it's not like she doesn't want to help. Obviously, she does care about her families. So, so that's kind of what we're trying to do, some of that.
Well, thank you very much, Susan.
You're welcome.
And hopefully you have a great year.
Thank you. And I want to say, Mark, I'm sorry to hear that you're leaving.
Thank you.
Us too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next, Fire Chief Jim Neidhart. I think it's time for our annual fire department update. So thank you very much for coming out this evening and giving us a little update on our fire department.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all for having me out tonight to talk about my favorite thing, which is the Bellbrook Fire Department. My second favorite year, which is 2017, because my favorite year now is 2018, because that's where we can make a difference. So, I'll just get right to it. Just give a general information on the makeup of the fire department. And you'll see we have 7 career, 10 part-time, and 6 resource members. What you will see missing from this year's versus last year's is volunteers. We had 2 volunteers left, and during the year, they decided to step away from the fire department. So at this point, we don't have any volunteers by that description. That's unfortunate, but it's not unusual for communities like this. It's hard to get them, and it's hard to retain them because of some of the requirements for maintaining your certifications and all that. So we will take volunteers, so if anybody is interested out there, contact the fire department and we will give you the information you need to participate with our fire department.
And just to be clear, the volunteers actually do get paid. They're not.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all a misnomer. They
Yeah.
do get paid, but
Okay.
the term is volunteer. Paid on call, paid per call, something like that would probably be more accurate. In the department, our certifications, we have 11 paramedics, 6 emergency medical technicians or EMTs, and we have 2 members that are on the regional critical incident stress management team. It's a good mix. We have almost double the paramedics of EMTs, so it's a good mix as far as what we can provide as service. It makes it easier for us to keep our ALS medics going, advanced life support. Here's our vehicles. We have a ladder truck. We have a rescue truck, although next year that will be removed from the list as well, as we are looking to sell that on gov deals. It's a very nice truck. However, its purpose for the fire department was no longer necessary. We're running maybe 2 calls out with it a year. There's a lot of maintenance to maintain a vehicle like that without the usage. And quite frankly, our staffing is a little low, so it would be difficult for us to staff that as well. Again, the other departments I'm familiar with, they are doing the same types of things with vehicles with this type of purpose. We have 3 medics and we have 3 staff vehicles. This year we had 2 service awards. We had Captain Athena Hawes, had 25 years, and Lieutenant Greg Narker also had 25 years. So we have a lot of experience on the department, which makes it nice for some of the new people that we have coming on to become mentors and to give them some experience for the years that they've put in time with the fire service in general. Fire prevention, always a big success. Lieutenant Narker does an excellent job. I'm sorry, I skipped a page. So we'll go back. Lieutenant Kevin Blucher, who happens to be in the audience tonight, finished his National Executive Fire Officer Program, and that is an exhaustive program. It's 4 years. He had to do 4 research projects that actually benefited the community, not just some kind of research thing that he did to practice researching. And it's also quite an accomplishment that somebody from this size department got accepted into that program. That was prior to my arrival, but this department can pat itself on the back for that, because that doesn't happen very often. So you'll see throughout this, there's a lot of people working towards improving themselves, which in turn improves the department, which in turn improves the service delivered to the community. So he's just one example of that. Now let's talk about fire prevention. We have a very successful program. Lieutenant Narker runs that. Pre-K to 5th grade, we inform all of those students. And they remember year to year to year, because they get quizzed on that as well, to make sure that the subject taught the year before is still retained the next year. We did something extra this year that was a suggestion by Captain Bizarro about we have a coloring contest, and those winners would get a plaque and they'd be recognized. His suggestion was that to make it even more exciting, to bring a fire engine to their house, pick them up, and take them to school. It was very popular. Who doesn't want to ride in a fire engine? So if you want to submit your coloring next year, we'll see what we can do. Now, it has to be good. There's some good ones out there.
Stay within the line.
But it's an excellent program. It was a lot of fun to do, actually, and the kids really enjoyed that.
That is great.
We have also our open house, and we do a lot of unique things with that. Last year, we had a small house replica that we demonstrated the effects of ventilation and fire in different scenarios. And I mean, it's on fire, so again, sometimes popular with the crowds, certainly with our guys. So excellent program. And again, Lieutenant Gluckert, who's in the room, did a car seat program. It's extremely successful. 77 seats were installed last year. This is a very unique program, but it's a very good program. So we get people all over the area, not just from the city of Bellbrook. So it's a service provided to the community at large. Obviously, it's important to have your child in a safety seat. It's more important almost to get that seat installed properly. He also does a car seat day. They served hot dogs and brought a lot of people in on that one day, sort of an assembly line type deal, and it's very popular as well. I have to say that I saw him install a car seat in the back seat of a Porsche, and I was extremely impressed. It's not really that kind of car that you would expect a car seat, but he disappeared in the back seat, and then it was there. So yeah, kudos to him for going the extra mile.
Hot dogs are good,
So some more educational accomplishments. As I said, a lot of people going to the extra degree to make themselves better, to learn more things, to get themselves more rounded. We have firefighter Taylor Click. He got a state fire safety inspector's certificate. That means all our career staff have a fire safety inspector certificate. This allows us to do the business inspections on every shift, divide them among those shifts, so they can give the proper attention and make sure that the safety features are being maintained by each business in the community. We have firefighter Thomas DeWitt, who was actually a cadet with our program since whatever the age he could participate in that. He got his firefighter level 1 state training completed. He also got his EMT, and so now he works part-time for us. And then firefighter Stephen Lawrence completed and passed his firefighter level 2 state training, which is your professional level certification. So again, it's kudos to the group of people that we have on the department that continually learning and improving. All right, let's see what happened last year. You can see that by the bars that we're a little bit down from last year. There's a 61 run difference between our runs in 2016 versus 2017. If I were to guess what that is, and I'll show you the stat, is that our mutual aid given wasn't nearly as high last year. And I would make it a suggestion that perhaps might have been Beaver Creek. They had some staffing issues, and they've corrected that, so we didn't go over to that community as much. So you'll see some of that. Yeah.
Chief, what's the big difference between 2014 and 2013 coming into 15, 16, and 17? It seems like we were at a lower level, and now we're well over 600 and probably in the 700 run phase. Is there anything that happened in
That's a
15
good
that
question.
changed
I do
things?
not
Or
know. I know that when I came here in 14, I changed how we looked at, how we counted a run, for example. Previously, it had been counted by basically the number of apparatus that were dispatched to those
Okay.
incidents. And with us, it's, an incident is an incident, whether we send one piece or 40 pieces, it's just a single incident. I was looking at that myself, and I don't know exactly what the difference is.
I think part of that is when Beaver Creek, they had their staffing issues in 15 and 16, so that's where we sort of see the
Right.
spike
Spiked up.
up, and then that's why we're coming back down. The 15, 16 were the, at least a portion of that were attributed to the additional calls to Beaver Creek.
And it could be also that with Sugar Creek's development, they've become busier as well, and we are a natural fill-in for them, just as they are for us. So it's possible there, because they saw a lot of development in the last few years,
Yeah, right.
which would naturally increase their call volume.
Okay, thank you.
So that's potential as well. All right, so it runs by area, and you can see that, let me look at my page. That really, Area 3 is the highest, just by 5 runs than Area 3, I'm sorry, than Area 2. I'm guessing it's population density, population demographic, as far as age. But we're pretty consistent. If you look at the pie there, there's really only one small piece. The rest of it's pretty consistent in its size. So. All right, EMS incidents. You can see there's one big piece of pie there, and that's for general illnesses. It's kind of a catch-all. That's why it's always the largest. And then typically it's followed by injury or something like that, because most people, when they call the dispatchers, they don't particularly know what specific problem is. We just get it as an illness. So. And then you'll see on the fire side, our number one is service calls. So those are the kind of things where if somebody has fallen and they need help to get up, and they're not injured and there's no need to remove them to the hospital, that's where these sort of get placed. Or if you have a CO alarm that you're concerned about, as far as you think it's not operating correctly, or maybe smoke detector batteries, those types of things are where we would get called on those. That's why that one's the largest. So it's pretty much the same as it was last year. Okay, what day of the week is the busiest in Bellbrook? Who knows? Because it's all different. I think every year I've been up here, it's been slightly different. But Saturday, people are coming to Bellbrook, so that's our busiest time. But not by much, because it's not a community that's a destination for wild entertainment. So for whatever reason, we scooched up a little bit on Saturdays. But if you look at the pie, everybody's got a pretty consistent piece, so, which makes sense for this community. It's a very stable community, veteran community, so you would expect that. And then time of day, again, typically my experience has shown me that around meals, dinner time, lunchtime, we're the busiest. It's kind of shows that here. 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's dinner time. We get a lot of runs in that. Now, I don't know why around mealtime, but I don't know if it's the rush to get something to eat or if it's just the hubbub of everybody gets home and there's a lot of activity, not sure. And obviously it makes sense that our 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. is our least busy period of time. And here's our mutual aid run data. So you'll see that we have given mutual aid 83 times and we've received it 32 times. That seems probably about right. You could almost eliminate some of these fire runs. I won't say eliminate them, but if we have anything that looks like a real fire, we're going to call mutual aid because we don't have enough to handle it. It would be the same for Sugar Creek and some of the other communities. We just don't have enough. So you're going to get mutual aid if it's any type of suspicion that it's an actual fire. And we're still on the plus side of that. In 2016, we went to Beaver Creek 73 times, and this past year we went 32 times. And I would guess most of those were the beginning of the year. So you see it's a big difference in between last year and the year before. And then this is our response time. So you see the PSAP to dispatch, that's basically from when the communication center receives the call, so they put tones that our members can hear. It seems it's a little slow, but it's what happens. I mean, they're a busy place, so we don't really have a lot of control over that. That's what it is. But our guys and gals are great at getting out the door, so it doesn't take them long. And when you look at an average, when some of that time is at night, when they have to get dressed and they have to figure out, where they're going and all the other things that are a little foggy sometimes in the evening, at night, they do a really good job of getting out the door. And then the other part, the enrats on scene, it's a small community. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference in terms of which station, because it's 4 miles or so. So the drive time is what it is. I would hesitate to ask them to go faster, because that doesn't help anybody. So the times are really good. Anything in the 5-minute range is really good. They do an excellent job at that. So proud of them for that. And thank you so much for your continued support of the fire department. You have a great group of people, and we really appreciate your support. And very proud of all of them and the things they do on a day-to-day basis. Just like the surveys we get back, we get very good surveys. And that's what I would expect, and I'm sure that's what you expect. So, and that's what they produce. And I'm sure we'll have, changes, because the department is, as I tell them all the time, it's an evolution, not a revolution. So it takes time to evolve and change. But that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions on the council?
I just got a general question. I noticed in some buildings where I work, they're pulling out fire extinguishers and hanging on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the reason is if you have a sprinkler system, you don't need them.
That would be correct, although we don't have any sprinkler systems in the,
I didn't think we had any buildings.
yeah, so I don't know why that would be exactly. Something maybe we should look into.
If you're used to having fire
Unless they were
extinguishers, you go
having
look.
them recharged or something like that. They could be having them inspected as well.
No,
Does that
they're
do that in
removing
the end?
Totally removing them.
Okay.
No.
Well, we'll have to look into that, so.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Chief, that I'm very impressed with the report that you put forward here, especially the part about the credentialing and the professionalism that the individual firefighters and command staff is going through to service a department this size. I mean, they really do an excellent job for the citizens and that, and you should be commended for, seeking those professional credentials and that. And I think we have a ISO rating of 2 now. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so that even improves individual homeowners insurance
Mhm.
that they have in the area, and it's hard for a city this size to get
It
a
is.
rating like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Absolutely. It's a testament to what these individuals do every day, honestly.
And the last thing I would say is, I was there when the car seat program was going on with the lieutenant, and he does an excellent job down there with that.
Absolutely.
So that's a good service to everybody.
And I think we're one of the few departments that even do that service, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It can be time consuming, because
Yes.
it's hard to get the certification, it's difficult to keep it, but it's a very popular program. And you're right, you can't find a lot of places that'll do it.
No.
Are we correcting installations that are incorrect, or these are new car seats? That'd be interesting to know.
I think it's both, yeah.
Both?
If they come in, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
Well, he'll look at it and fix it.
I know the hot dogs are good.
Mr. Schweller?
Sorry,
go
you
ahead.
skipped me.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, he was raised his hand.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were going online. I just want to say great report, and I think you guys do a great job. A couple times when I've had to call EMS, you guys were right there and helped with the situation. I think that's a wonderful value that we provide to our citizens. I know that staffing is a problem, and so I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that we are concerned about staffing for the fire department, and that's why we have the fire levy coming up.
Ms. Schweller.
How's Green Central Dispatch working out for us? I know we get reports from time to time, but it's mostly statistical data, how many calls came in and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, is it working good with the rank and file? Are we happy with what we're doing there?
I think what they had to get used to was the fact it wasn't so much homegrown, so they didn't know exactly where Upper Bellbrook Road might be and that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
But as far as providing, calls come in and calls are dispatched out. It's been my experience that when I've had an issue and I've emailed about it, it's been corrected or at least addressed or explained. So I think it's doing a good job. I think it's improved over time, which makes sense as they've gotten more into a system that they're used to, and maybe they've had more longer tenured employees as well.
But
it
you're
seems-
satisfied to stay the course going forward?
Yeah,
Okay.
especially for the money that it cost. I mean, we got part of that 2 rating we got in our ISO was based on the fact that dispatch center has duplicity in its
Huge, that's
equipment
huge
and stuff
for
like
us.
Yeah, where we could never have that before.
Exactly. When you're a smaller organization, they can't afford to have
Staff
that.
of one, yeah.
So-
And then it also, if I'm correct, would require us to have 2 dispatchers
Yes.
now. I'm not sure when that takes effect or has taken effect, but that would have been budget prohibitive.
Right.
It would have been tough.
Standalone dispatch centers
Yeah.
are hard to maintain.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Anyone else on council? Thank you very much, Chief. Great presentation. Thank you to all the men and women on the
Thank you,
fire
Jim.
department. It is one of those things that when you look at, essentially, from the time you make that initial call, in under 6 minutes, you're gonna be there is pretty impressive, and that's what counts, when someone's really sick. So
Absolutely.
thank you all very much.
Just to piggyback, we do right now have 1 opening, so they're in the process of hiring for one of those 7 career positions. So they're working on that. They have received applications and they're going through the process there with the levy that is on the ballot. That will allow us to hire 1 additional full-time person and allow us to have 2 full-timers on shift, each 24-hour shift, and allow us to schedule 2 part-timers per shift. So we really have 4, which gives us options. Right now, with the 3 that we have on, we can respond to a call. It's that second call that comes that it becomes difficult to do. If you have 4, there are at least opportunities there, depending on what type of call the first call is, that you can respond or somebody can respond to that. So I just want the community to know that it's very important. This levy request is really what we're trying to do to keep that service level at what it is and keep the responsiveness. I see all the surveys and we get very positive responses for the people that use the service. And we're just trying to do the best we can to maintain that service and improve it where we can and make sure that we're as responsive as we can be to the citizens.
Great. Thank you very much, Chief. Public hearings, none. Introduction of ordinances, none. Resolutions, none. City manager's report, short.
Yes.
So,
Yes, very short. Let me, just a couple items this evening. First, the Upper Hillside project that we've been talking about will start next Monday, weather permitting. The contractor is ready to go. They've ordered their materials, so they will begin that project next week if they can, if not shortly thereafter. Little Sugar Creek Road, anyone who has driven on that here in the past, since yesterday, has seen there's some gravel there. I just wanted to give you an indication of what happened. This is the side of the road there on Little Sugar Creek. You can see it began to fall off. The creek is down here, so it began to slip off the side there. This gives you just an indication of how far that dropped off. That has all been filled in right now temporarily with gravel. We had the engineer out today. We had a geotechnical person to come out. Ultimately, if you know this area, there's a lot of water that's coming down this hill and it's heading to the creek, a lot of it underground. So there's things going on down there that you can't see. but we're doing the best we can to maintain that. We've contacted the developer of Highview Terrace, and they are going to work with us to make sure that the trucks that are delivering concrete or supplies and that are coming from the north side rather than coming this way, just to keep as much weight off as we can. And like I said, we'll work with the engineer to get this fixed, both short-term and long-term. But this is a really difficult area to keep. If you look at the two hills there, they put this road in there, and there's not much there keeping it from going 30 feet down into the creek there. So we'll work on it and do the best that we can to solve that. But at least right now, with the amount of rain that we got over the weekend, that's what happened. So we are closely monitoring it. Recently, the Sugar Maple Festival Committee contacted the city and asked if there was anything the police or fire department needed. They have, as you know, for the last couple of years with their sale of alcohol at the festival, they've raised a lot of money. They've been giving scholarships. They also wanted to give back to the police and fire departments because of the work that they do. The police department had a need for a new TV, wall-mounted TV monitor down in their training room so they could do online trainings and that. The Sugar Maple Festival contributed that. It's mounted down there. The police are ecstatic about it, but I just wanted to recognize the Sugar Maple Festival for the contribution they made and that the giving back, recognizing the work that we put in to help put on that festival. So, and then finally, Councilman Greenwood asked something about emails on the website. We had, I think there was a comment made by somebody that we don't list email addresses on the website. You can click on a link and you can send an email. The reason we don't put them on there is for spam purposes. If you start listing email addresses, they're not. I know he mentioned that he would like to have email addresses. I guess we can do anything you want. The concern again is on the spam side of things. If you do that, if you go on the website and you just click on it, you can get to somebody's email, and it's a form from the website rather than from your email browser to get to them. So if I'll pull it up here real quick and just show you what I mean. But if you want to go to city officials and staff and then contact any one of these names, if you click on it, so if I click on Mike Schweller, it's going to pop up a form where you can put your first and last name, your email, your subject, and it's going to come to that council person. What you can't do though is send an email to everyone at one time, and you can't just copy the emails off of there. So we can do whatever you want. It's never really been raised. I know that was something that came up, but if you're interested in us changing, really probably this page here where it has names, titles, and phone numbers, we can do that. But if not, we'll leave it as it is. So
Leave it.
Just leave it.
so okay, that's fine. So that is all I have this evening.
Committee report, service,
No service report tonight.
safety,
No report.
finance and audit.
Nothing to report except I think our audit is started, underway, or
Yes, it's ongoing, and actually I meant to mention that. So we had an engagement letter, and I think you got a copy of it, and then we were notified that the Ohio Police and Fire Pension is doing periodic payroll audits to make sure that wages are pensionable. So we got another engagement letter.
that's when
and
we got in our email.
That's the one that came today.
Gotcha.
I question why we were paying for that, but we were randomly selected by OPNF to be checked. They have to do it to verify their pension liabilities and things like that. So we have the luxury of paying another $410 for OPNF's audit. But I tried to find out why or where that came from, but we don't really have a choice on that. So it's still actually with the cost of our audit and that one, it's still under what we budgeted for the year. But to me, it's a cost we shouldn't have to bear, but we don't really have a choice.
Well, tell them the trade-off is to get the audit done early.
Well, they're working on
July.
it. Yes, yeah, we'll see.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Community affairs,
Nothing other than I was glad to have that final board filled, and so we are at full staffing now.
old business. Anyone have any old business? I don't see any. New business, open discussion. Nick?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Oh, I'd just like to say again about the fire department, they do a real good job conserving resources. They get rid of resources they don't need. They're always constantly trying to save money, and they still do a great job. and I really appreciate that.
I just have one question for Mark. Mark, the property that's up on Main Street here, that across from Dots, that was the new apartments and things like that, that had the issue with the
The 79 West Franklin.
79 West Franklin, thank you.
That was the issue, that they didn't build to the plans that they submitted.
Yes.
That were approved by the Village Review Board. That was not caught until it was actually complete. The property owner appealed that to the Village Review Board. They denied his appeal, and then they gave him 120 days to come into compliance. There's like 4 architectural features. The biggest one is a dormer off the front side of that building to make it consistent with the rest of them. He had until like December 7th to do that. He did not do it. Once he did not complete that, I issued a civil violation, civil fine violation, gave him, according to the terms of the code, you had to give him a period of time to correct it. So that time has expired. Once it expired, I was contacted by his attorney. I have since met with him. Right now, I'm waiting for an opinion from the municipal attorney on what are options as to how to proceed with that. So that's really where it stands. Once I talked with the attorney last week. Once I get the answer to that question, I'll be talking with council about how we want to proceed from here on that. But it is still in process, and obviously over the winter they probably weren't going to do any construction anyway. But we are still in touch with the property owner, trying to get them in compliance.
Okay, thank you.
Still open discussion.
I don't have anything.
Donna?
Nothing except for, again, great report by the chief and the fire
Yeah.
department, and I hope everyone comes out to vote for levy.
Mr. Weller?
Nothing for tonight, Mayor.
I think we have girls' basketball game this evening, districts, is that tonight? I believe so, the high school. So, good luck, girl. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
So 7:30 it started, right? All right, so good luck, girls. You obviously can't watch this because you're on the basketball court. That's all I have. This is open to any member out there to come up and for open discussion. You decided to come up before I made you get up? You might as well both come up. Well, I see 2 fine Boy Scouts.
Thank you. I would like to talk about what your thoughts on the growth of the community and how we're going to handle it.
Okay, first you need to say your name and address.
I'm Spencer Bretlin, 1128 Roger Scott Drive.
And
On Hamilton Bridges and 2963 Wilmington Dayton Road.
okay, and what was your question?
What are your thoughts on the growth of the community and how you're going to handle it?
My thoughts is that the growth of the community is almost, a majority of it is outside of Bellbrook, Shore Creek Township. The only thing that Bellbrook really has left to develop are a few homes behind Dots, and the rest is in the township. So the roads, there obviously will be concerns on traffic and all those kinds of things. I know there's a plan for Upper Bellbrook. I think they've started some of that now, and I'm sure they're looking at long-term solutions. A lot of those roads are county roads, not township roads, so even the township probably doesn't have a lot of control over those. I'm sure Upper's all county. Everything inside the development would be Shore Creek Township, but the actual roads will be in the Greene County.
Bob, Greene County Regional Planning actually did a roads, couple meetings, and there was one that was in Sugar Creek Township for Bellbrook and Sugar Creek, as well as Spring Valley and a couple other places. And so they're looking at what are the roads that need to be improved, and if there's growth over the next 10 years, what are kind of the main problems with some of the roads. And so they are looking into that. Just wanted to.
And there are studies that are ongoing, and then when a need is found, there will be further studies. Donna represents Bellbrook City Council and Greene County Planning Board, and Mark and I represent Bellbrook for Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission to keep an eye out there and get that funding to the city or wherever it needs to hopefully keep the roads. That will not be an issue. Of course, there's the bigger issues such as schools and all those other potentials, but they're a bit out of our control.
Thank you.
And
How does community growth affect our water supply? Just like Bellbrook's water supply.
what? Well, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we're on an aquifer that we have, it's not endless, but it's a very significant, it's a very stable water supply. So we have the ability, we have the infrastructure in place to pump more water up to a point, but we are far from that point now. We haven't, the water that we pull out of the ground does not have an impact on lowering the water table. The supply continues to be stable throughout the community. So we do monitor that, and even in times of drought, that water table will drop some, but it always comes back to where it's been. So we do watch that, and if we saw over the long term that water table is dropping, then we would have to look at other sources of water, potentially other things. But right now, it's stable, and we can handle the growth as it stands today.
And there are portions of the township that are Bellbrook water, and there are portions that are actually Greene County water. Example, Cable's mill is sort of half and half. It's a dividing line. And we also, I think, still have potential where we can connect to that water system. We may have to go overground, I believe, if one of their system has a problem or our system. In the past, the Greene County system had problems, and they actually had watering bans, where the Bellbrook system did not. So,
Those are great questions.
great question.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Well,
questions.
gentlemen, come on up. Get your limited edition pen, because when these run out, they'll be gone forever. So thank you both for coming up, and very nice questions.
Yeah, that was
Yes. Louis, do you have any questions? Anyone else have anything to come before council tonight, or any council, do we have anything further to do this evening? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.